We'll just use 5 seconds instead of.
Recovery. Good job, Mizuyo.
Okay. Okay, great. Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca and I work at Meta. I'm usually based in the Singapore office, but it's my honor to travel here and meet all of you in person. I hope everyone is doing well and all of you are feeling awake. How many of you have had your lunch? Anyone? Yes? Okay, great. So all of you are ready to start the session today. So just a quick introduction on myself. I'm part of a team that regularly engages with government and also political parties, especially ahead of an election. Because as Aisha and Sarin earlier mentioned, a lot of the conversations, a lot of the important work that all of you do take place on our platforms. And in Nepal, it's Facebook, right? You want to connect with Nepali citizens and voters on why is it important to vote for your party, what you're working on, and all the important things that your party wants to say to Nepali citizens. So today we're here to share with you how you can effectively and responsibly use our tools to do that. But I would like to start off first with our mission. And that is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Here on the screen, you have the monthly active users, but this represents global numbers, right? And this is how we bring our vision to life. We use our family of apps. So Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, I think those are usually the top ones. And of course, we have WhatsApp and then Oculus. The next 2 slides, because all of us are in Nepal here, I want to share an overview of social media use in the country. This is not a report by us. This is by We Are Social and Kepios. So they release a report on social media each year, and this is the latest report for Nepal. And of course, the numbers would have probably changed, but I just want to highlight to you, the total number of social media users in Nepal. The demographic is quite evenly distributed. And most interestingly, in Nepal, people who are using social media, you can see that 99% of them, or more than that, actually use mobile device to access that. And that is very important for all of you here, because all of you here use Facebook, right? How many of you use Facebook? Can you show me your hand? Not everyone? Okay. Okay, more. That sounds more like it. So most people here use Facebook, right, to connect with people, your friends, family, and it's really important that you make sure that your content is basically mobile friendly. And I'll talk more about that later on. But first, I want to start with the basics. Sorry, just give me a minute. The first one that I want to start with is a page versus profile, right? How many of you here use a Facebook profile? I'm assuming all of you who raised your hands just now would be raising your hand now, because a Facebook profile is the first thing that anyone starts with when they use Facebook, right? So all of you would have to start off what we call a Facebook profile. And that is really the right tool, a product for you to connect with your family, your friends, and talk to people and stay in touch. But Facebook page is what we usually use to build a following. So all of you here, if you represent your organization, or if you're a public figure, which I assume most of you here are because you represent a political party, or you're a spokesperson, it is very important for you to use a page. So again, a raise of hands, how many people here manage a Facebook page? How many? Okay, quite a lot. So that is very important because I know some of you, still use a profile instead of a page, and page is really the right way to go because of all the reasons, right? And my colleague Ashish will talk more about ads later on. With a Facebook profile, you won't be able to run ads. And then the other thing that is really powerful when it comes to Facebook page is what we call insights, right? Because every time you create a content, You want to see how well you're doing, and not just by a feeling, right? You want the hard data, you want the numbers, and insights is how you do it. Okay. And most of you here, when you use a page, you should have been migrated to a new product, what I call new pages experience. If you have not seen it and you would like to transition to it, please let me know. We can, see how to work that out. But most importantly, I want to emphasize on the controls, because in the past you would have traditionally what we call 6-page roles, right? So you're admin, you're editor, you're advertiser, etc. But now, with the latest new product, there's only 2 big types of control. So Facebook access and task access. To simplify it, if you all represent an organization, the same organization, I would encourage all of you to use Facebook access. Task access is mainly more if you work with an external agency, you're asking them to do certain tasks for you, then maybe assigning them to a task access makes sense. The main 2 big difference is that people with task access can only manage a page with Creative Studio or Business Suite. So they won't be able to use desktop, for example, to manage the page. So very, very important. And of course, don't give everyone full control over your page, because when they have full control, you can actually delete the page. So you want to have only trusted people. And why I'm saying all these things up front is because these are really, really important things. And I know many of you would be interested in what we call a blue badge verification. To set you up for success, I highlighted a few points here. When it comes to verification, we have certain policies around it. The most important thing is it's authentic. The other one is notability. And third thing, of course, it has to be complete, right? What do I mean by that? If you have a page category, make sure it's properly categorized. If you are a political party, use political party. Don't use business, okay? And then, of course, have a proper cover photo and also a bio section. So if this is the official page of Rebecca O, please put it there so that people will know. And the next really important thing which we notice that people do very often in this part of our world is they love to use what we call a fake profile to manage a page. And there is a certain risk to it, right? And I'll explain. Using a real profile on Facebook is very important. So everyone, by right, should only have one profile and it represents themselves, right? You should be using this profile to manage your page. I'll give you an example. What people do very often is, okay, for example, I'm the Embassy of Singapore, and I create a fake profile called the Embassy of Singapore, and everyone in the team logs in through the same profile to manage it. This is not a good practice, and usually, what can happen is that if a machine goes around the platform, they detect fake accounts, sometimes that account might get taken down, and your page would run into trouble. So you don't really want that to happen, especially in the middle of an election. So always have at least 2 admins, and always use your real profiles, because your identity as an admin is also confidential, right? Okay, the next part, sorry. Here, very important. How many of you have 2-factor authentication turned on or know what it is? This one is a trick question. So, okay, I can count with 5. 1, 2, 3, more. It's a good thing if you have it on. Okay, for those of you who have not turned it on, please take 5 minutes to turn it on. You can easily, set that up through your settings. 2-factor authentication is basically an additional layer of security to your account, right? So the analogy I love to use is, imagine your page or your Facebook account is your house. Your house is very precious, you have all your valuable things in it. How many locks? Only 1 lock in your house? How many people only have 1 lock in your house? 2. 2 locks. 2? Okay. I assume most of you have 5 or more than 2 or something. So, your strong password is your first lock. That's very important. And then your 2-factor authentication is that additional lock. So if your first lock, which is your password, ever gets compromised, having 2FA really, really helps. And nowadays, really bad actors have all sorts of ways to get your password. One very common way they love to do that is through phishing. You might have seen some of these bad actors going on. They go onto emails, on our platform sometimes pretending to be good actors. They sometimes pretend to be Facebook, for example, and you'll be like, oh, you will lose your account if you don't click on this link. So don't click on these links and have 2FA set up so you won't fall into a victim of phishing, right? And this is really important because I assume all of you here manage your social media page. How many of you here specialize in social media for the party? Okay, quite a few. So very, very important, have an account security plan, right? Because people come and people go. Outline in a standard operating protocol, how you want to manage page admins. And if people leave, for example, how do you want to hand over the access? I often have cases where people come to me and they say, hey, I have people who have left the organization for 5 years and they're still there and I can't access my page now. So having a proper handover protocol is very important, like how you hand over your office keys, your laptop, hand over your social media access as well. And of course, if people, have certain account security issues, they should always also escalate it so that, the page is secure. Because as you know, if an admin is hacked, the page gets hacked too. So you really want to protect your organization's page. And then of course, some of the things that I mentioned earlier, so have this plan in place, especially ahead of the election time. And if you have a team of admins, please get them to do a security checkup. And the security checkup, it's available in app. You can do it on your mobile phone as well. Everyone should do it. Just spend 5 minutes. Okay, they will take you through your passport, 2FA, everything. So everything that you need to know, do your security checkup. It's like your health checkup, right? You do health checkup for yourself, do security checkup for your account. Okay, now is the less boring part, because we're all here to learn about how you can make sure that your post that you're creating shows up on people's newsfeed, right? The first question that I always get from people when they see someone from Meta or Facebook is, hey, Rebecca, can you please tell me what is Facebook's algorithm? Why sometimes my post appears on top, why doesn't it appear sometimes on people's feed? So today, I'm here to explain to you what is feed, right? So feed is the first thing that you see when you open up your social media app, right? Your Facebook. That's where you see posts from your friends, your family, or even from all of you, right? And let's take a step back. The goal of feed is to really show people stories that matter to them. So for example, if I'm really passionate about animal rights, and I love food, for example, so more posts will probably come out from that front. Aisha, for example, she's into fashion or K-pop. She probably has more posts related in this area. And it also depends on how you interact with people. So if you like or click on particular videos or types of videos more, relevant content will show up a bit more. So the most important thing, is that you have to know your audience because, even if it's 2 different people, their feed is very, very different. So then here you might be asking, so how do we prioritize all these things? So at the back end, let me explain what this process is called. So at the back end, we use a process called ranking. So if you were to sit in front of a computer, I show you all the posts that you can see for today. Okay? You probably never finish it because there's so much content being created every single second, right? All of you here are not just competing with one another, you're competing with people's friends, people's family, singers, musicians, bands, touring pop, whatever. So, for you to really show up in people's feed, you have to make sure that your post is relevant, right? And here are some of the signals on the screen that we take into account when we rank it at the back end. So each post at the back end is given a score. The higher the score, the higher it will rank. So all of your goal here as content creators is to make a post that has a very high score at the back end, right? So one of the very key signals that I would tell you is story time, okay? Photos, for example, usually do, videos, for example, usually do better than photos. So try to do more short videos, for example, I would say. And of course, do more photos if you can't do videos compared to static work posts, right? And then of course, one last thing on what not to do is do not use engagement bait. This is something very, very common that people use around the world. if you don't know what it is, you can see some examples. Basically, as you can see, it's very clickbaity posts that just want people to click on it to interact with it. And these are poor quality posts that is directly opposite of what we call meaningful social interactions. So when our system detects these posts, we downrank them. We downrank them, and your post will almost not get seen. So avoid this at all costs. Okay. And the keywords here are, all the ones that I share on screen, and they can detect the language, in English, in Nepali, and whatever language. So try to avoid that. Okay, here's the part where I'm going to go through quickly some examples. I know not all of you here will be creating content, but the purpose of this session is really to also inspire. Because I know whenever I talk to government officials, I talk to political parties, they will tell me, but we talk about very serious things. We're not, Korean pop. We're not like, cultural groups. We can't do anything fun. But that's not true, because politicians around the world have leveraged social media to be fun. That's how you compete with people's friends, entertainment pages, for example. So I want to share with you some examples. The first thing that you need to ask yourself before you post on your page the next time, are you being authentic? We hear this word a lot, right? What does it mean? It means really to be candid, right? And here I'm going to show you an example, and maybe we'll mute the video, the audio. But here is a politician from Singapore. He's actually our current Deputy Prime Minister. As you can see, what he's doing, he's looking straight into the camera. He is doing rapid test, right? Antigen rapid testing. And he's speaking straight into the camera. And notice the format that he's using is what we call a vertical format. Right? So what that means is that when it shows up on mobile phone, it's huge. Right? And I'm going to show you more examples later. And there's captions, as you can see, because we're not turning on sound. So he's speaking to you directly as if he's right in front of you, very candid, right? And of course, if you have a big event, like today, for example, we could take some behind-the-scenes videos and post it on your social media, right? You can take some photos outside with Facebook emojis and say, hey, in preparation for the election, we actually came for this event. So here are some examples to be authentic, because Nepali citizens and voters want to hear your voice, right? They want to know who you are, even if you're representing an organization. Okay, the next one here behind the scenes, I have an example from Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. She is great with leveraging our platform. So as you can see, she's using a short video here, showing some behind the scenes, right? What she's doing, she's selecting the national Christmas cards each year, right? And they get kids all over the country to send in Christmas cards, and she's picking her favorite, and she's speaking straight into the camera. And notice she's using a mobile-friendly format as well, one-to-one, and she has captions. So very, very authentic and candid, right? So try to use more videos like that. I know for a lot of you this might be new, but it's okay. Try it out, and you might find great results. So in terms of frequency, how often do you post? Once a day? Anyone? Once a day? Okay, great. More than once a day. More than once a day? Okay, quite a few. Okay, that's great. So I would balance that out. Now I think at least once a day would be good, but as you're campaigning and the run-up for election, you really might want to post a few times a day. But of course, every post should be intentional, has a key message. Don't just post for the sake of posting. It's really important to use some of the best practice. And of course, using live, for example, to make big announcements, right? In the past, you have to hire a whole media crew, but now you can actually go live, right, directly to make an announcement. So here's another example from New Zealand where they are making live announcements. And leveraging trends is also very important because people come onto social media to get entertained. They want to have fun, right? So if you can tell your message in a fun, candid, and interactive way, it will work so much better than just putting an announcement, right? So highlight important announcements during election period. A lot of posts get uploaded, but for your page, for example, it's important to pin the most important thing. So for example, you want to tell people where to vote, pin the post at the top, right? Because that's what people will most probably look for, but you can still continue posting. right? And all of you here are what I call subject matter experts. You're experts in the politics scene, you're experts in policies, and people want to hear from you. So tell your message and tell your story. So Facebook Live here is an example, a fun example of what I like to show. Here you can see, she's a politician and she's holding her phone directly, speaking straight into the camera with someone on her right, and that person is a finance minister, right? Both relatively serious people, but they are talking about a serious topic, which is the budget, but in a more fun way, right? They start talking about what they eat before budget session, and then what they give to the finance minister at end, like the break time, for example. So a serious topic, but making it fun and answering questions live. So that is a great way of using live and be authentic. So why do I keep talking about live? Because on average, there's 6 times more interactions on live than regular videos, because people love that interaction that you're there with them. And of course, you have 10 times more comments because people feel like as if you're with them and it's interactive. How many of you have gone live before? Just a show of hands. Okay, quite a few. That's great. So maybe you guys can share best practice on what is working or not working later on. But if you're considering going live, if you have a behind the scenes kind of mode, hot topics, of course, when elections are happening, and of course sometimes you might want to do a Q&A, right? Because your community might have a lot of questions around your policies, how to vote around election, for example, you can do a Q&A or interview. So these are all great moments. Okay, I know most of the time when we curate content, we post on something called our feed, right? Which is something that remains 24/7. How many of you leverage what we call stories? So what we call ephemeral content. Okay, that's great, pretty good numbers. So why stories are very important? Because of all the reasons here, right? I personally am a big story person. I rarely post on feed because stories is full screen. First thing, it does very, very well on mobile phone. It's lightweight, it's fast, it's casual, and it's fun, right? And people know that it's recent because it disappears after 24 hours. So try to not just only focus on feed on your social media strategy, try to have a mix, right? When you have your calendar, post sometimes on feed and then sometimes on stories. I won't go into these details because I think it's quite straightforward. Okay, the last section before I go into resources is really creating content with mobile phone, right? Geared for a mobile phone audience. Just now, at the start of my presentation, I shared that most Nepali citizens actually use their mobile phones to connect on Facebook. So that means for all of you here, when you create content, you want to be mobile friendly, right? More videos, as I mentioned, and make sure that it's the right format and that your key message is right at the front. Just to give you some stats, people consume content faster on mobile. What that means is that when you have your thumb, you scroll through, people's attention span is really, really short. So you want to capture the attention span as quick as possible. And that means that when you tell your story, for example, you do a video on TV, because everyone is forced to sit in front of TV. So usually, you tell a story and you say that, hey, we go to the shop and something happens, and then in the end it's to buy a car, right? So the message appears right at the end of the TV commercial. But video consumption and feed is very different, right? Basically, what people do is that their attention span drops after 15 seconds. So if your main message is only at the end, your video is basically wasted, right? People don't know which party to vote for example, or people don't know how to vote. So very, very important when you do any content, make sure your key message is clear and right up front, right? Especially with videos. 15 seconds is our best practice. You can of course go longer for your video. Some countries they love long videos like Thailand, for example. Make it longer, that's fine. But your main message should be out. Sooner the better. The next thing I want to share, small tip but very, very important is the format, right? I'm going to show you an example here. The 3 videos are exactly the same videos. It's at $5. But look how dramatically different they look on a mobile screen, right? So 1:1 is a square format that we advise. 9:16 we can do it even better. It looks immersive on a mobile phone screen, right? And that is what you want to achieve because remember again, you're competing with so many other content on your feed. You want to capture people's attention and use things like captions. If you're on Facebook, for example, make sure your video is clear without sound because most people on Facebook actually watch videos without sound. Versus on Instagram, people actually use sound. So interesting tip here. And of course, when you scale your video, make sure you scale it properly. So this is just another example of 16:9 on a vertical screen, very very small. But if you want to make it 9:16, make sure it's scaled to the size because otherwise footage might be cut. So this is what we call a true vertical video. Okay. Okay, some really quick considerations that I want to leave you with as you and your team, as election commissioner said, please spread the message, all these best practice to your peers and whether it's here or in other parts of the country. Capture attention very quickly. Key message, be out, 15 seconds or less. The next thing is make sure that videos that you create are clear without sound. Especially on Facebook, people view videos without sound. And your framing has to be correct for mobile, so 1:1 or 16:9. And of course, play with rhythm, play with speed. This is very important. Small tips, but I assure you it will go a long way. Okay? And here's the part where you will ask, Rebecca, we don't have a lot of money, we're a one-man show or two-woman show, we can't hire professionals to make videos. It's okay, if you all have mobile phones, you all have pretty good mobile phones, you just need a good app, right? So here are some free apps that you can start with. And I can tell you the best videos are the ones that are created authentically. It's not the professionally curated ones. If you speak with influencers, for example, the videos that work the most well for them is the candid, the authentic one that came straight from their mobile phones. So please try, have fun. That's very, very important as you work. Okay. Last but not least, I want to share with you some moderation tools because I know as you go about campaigning and managing your page, you might want to also stay safe. So I just want to remind all of you that we take safety really seriously and we do have certain safety tools that you can leverage. Things like blocking words, where you can block specific keywords. So just go to your page settings, you'll find it. Perfecting filter, I would encourage all of you to turn it on as well. There's no words to add, but basically what we do is we use our machine learning to detect profane words on the platform, and then we add it to the filter. So try to add it on. And then the last thing is actively moderate your page. Make sure that it's a safe space for people to communicate. So if there are people who are just trolling, remove them, ban them if necessary. Okay. And for those of you who are already in New Pages experience, there's this tool called the Moderation Assist that is very, very helpful. It will probably save your time, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day if you moderate your page. So basically what that means is you can go to your professional dashboard and you'll see it, Moderation Assist on the left. And what that means is that you can actually ask the machine to help you block certain comments or hide certain comments if it fulfills certain criteria based on the post, the poster, and also the post itself. So let me give you some examples. So for example, you can hide comments based on the person's commenting on the post. So if you want to hide a comment for a person who doesn't have a profile photo, for example, you can turn it on and add it as a criteria. Or you can hide comments if they have an image or a specific link, etc. So that's quite helpful when it comes to moderating your page. Okay. Last but not least, of course, Aisha, myself, Ashish, we're all here to support all of you. But if you have any questions, our health center usually is very helpful. I would say check it out. Also, we have a microsite, especially for all of you, government and politics partners. It's www.facebook.com/CPA, and on it you will have a lot of best practices on how you can use our tools to connect with voters. And last but not least, and I think my colleagues will also talk more about this. We have a concierge service, especially for all of you. We call the Meta Pro team. So I know sometimes it's very hard to seek help, but here we have a dedicated service for all of you. So if you can bookmark this, take a screenshot of this URL. Only people who are admins of politics and government pages will see this form. So if you're not an admin, you probably won't see it. But if you are, you can actually go to the form. It's through something like this. You can actually, ask all sorts of questions around product. So as I put it here, how Ashish will talk more about ads, but if you want to change your page names or you have any product questions, this is where you can go. And so as I mentioned, product questions, operational requests, or technical issues. So these are just some examples of what the team can assist you on. But of course, we're still here. So we're not going to do Q&A now, but I think we're going to probably go into break time. But after that, please stay tuned for my colleagues at Monday session on ads and ads transparency. Thank you everyone for your time.